Hey everyone, welcome back to Max Level Code. In this video, we're going to build a simple Angular app that shows you how to use guards to protect your routes. We'll create a home page, a login page, and a protected dashboard page. We'll also add Bootstrap styling and FontAwesome icons to make it look a little bit polished. So step one, we're going to create a new Angular app. You can press Control-tilde, that toggles the terminal within Visual Studio Code. And then you can type ng new, and I'm going to call this Angular application. I'm just going to call it guard since the whole point of this tutorial is to. I'm just move this up a little bit so you can see. I'm going to use CSS by default. I'm also going to not enable server-side rendering. The default is no, so you can just press enter there. Okay, now that the project is completed, we're going to cd into our guard project. We're also going to open that folder actually from VS Code. So now we have a standard Angular project. If you expand the sources directory, you'll have an app folder in there, and we just have a blank project. If we wanted to run this project, you'd press Control-tilde to bring up the terminal, and you could do npm start. You can hold Control and left click it to open it up, and you'll get this normal blank standard page, right? Now we're going to generate the 3 pages, the home, the login, and the dashboard. So we're going to go back into the terminal, and you'll see we have it running currently. So I'm actually going to create a new one. At the bottom here, click the plus symbol, and now we have a new one. So you can see you could go back and forth between the one that's already running, which is this one, and then the new one that I created. So we're going to create the 3 pages now. So we're going to do ng generate component. Now, and then you're going to give it the component name. But I just wanted to point out that these could be abbreviated. Component could be abbreviated to just C, and generate could be abbreviated to just G. So ng space G space C would be an Angular generate component. Now we want these pages to be in the features folder. So we're going to type in features / and we're going to name our first component home. Press up, and the next one we're going to name it login. Press the up arrow key. The next one's going to be dashboard. Okay, now we have our, if we in the left there, you can see that the features, we have 3 folders: the dashboard, the home, and the login. And you can look at these. Each one of these is going to have 4 files. It's going to have the HTML file. It's going to have the TypeScript file. This is the test file. You can ignore that. And it's going to have a CSS file. So we still have to create a couple other components. So let's just continue with that. So next, let's generate the Auth Guard to protect our dashboard and the Auth Service to handle the login and logout. To do that, we're going to do ng guard, and then we're going to type in core/guards/auth. And it's going to ask us the type that we want to choose. Just press spacebar. You're going to want to choose can activate. And now you can see here, there's a new folder underneath app called core/guards. And then in here, your auth guards in here. Okay, all right, let me close that. So to make our app look nice, let's add Bootstrap and FontAwesome. We're going to add it via CDN. If you're not familiar with FontAwesome, that gives you free icons that you can utilize in your application. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to open up index.html, which is this. I'm going to press Control and tilde. It's the button next to number 1 on your keyboard twice, and that's going to hide the shell. So in this page over here, we're going to add a few hyperlinks, and I'll include these in the description. Right below the favicon, you can paste them, and then you could press Shift Alt and F to auto format your page. And now you can see we have the Bootstrap and we have the FontAwesome CSS files. We need another script file for Bootstrap. You can see that the Copilot is automatically picking it up, but I'm just going to copy it. Now to configure our routes, we're going to click the Explore here, and we're going to look for, under the app folder, you're going to see app route. And I'm going to add a couple of routes in here. They're going to go, you'll see this routes constant, an array, and you'll see this little array bracket. Just add a carriage return in there, and you're going to paste the press Shift, Alt, and F, auto formats. And you're going to get these little errors here. That's because the routes doesn't, and you'll see this turns red because the routes don't know where to pull these components from. But with VS Code, it's kind of cool. You just put your mouse over the squiggly lines and press Control period, and then this quick fix thing pops up. So I'm going to add import from the home.component. You'll see it on line 2 here. It added an import home component and it's the path where the component is. So we're going to repeat that for login component, press Control period, then we're going to click add import. We're going to do that for dashboard, Control period, add import. And we're going to do the same thing for the Auth Guard. There we go. Now we're done with the routes. Next part, we're gonna add a little bit of code to the app component where the router outlet is. So let me go into the Explorer, go in the app folder, find my app component, double click on it. And remember, this was that default page. We're just gonna press Control A to select everything and just delete the entire thing. Now I'm going to paste some code in here that I pre-wrote. I'm using a nav element, right? This code comes from directly from the Bootstrap documentation page. The only thing I really did here is I added custom links. These are going to be like the main menu links. You can see here I have a home link, a dashboard link, and a logout link. There's a couple of things that's unique that you need to know. So I'm using router link. This is an Angular directive. And if you go look at our routes, slash is just the base route. So this path where it's an empty path would route to the home component. That's where this would take you. That's why it's home. Slash dashboard in the app routes, that's configured here. The path is dashboard. It's going to open up the dashboard. And now the logout is unique. So I have an interesting thing here. I have an ngIf. This is an Angular directive as well. And I have auth.isLoggedIn. This is something that the auth service that we're going to add this to the auth service. The other thing that's unique is I added href equals pound. If you don't do this, you won't get that little pointer on your mouse when you put your mouse over this. And then I'm using a click event to call the auth service.logout method. And at the bottom here, you'll see the router outlet. So as I click on these links, the router outlet, wherever you put that, that's where the pages are going to render. So I'm just going to save this for now. Now let's make our pages simple but clear. Like for the home page, open that up. You go to the app directory, there's a home directory now, and in there you'll see a home component.html. I'm going to obviously Control A, delete that. And I'm also going to paste some pre-written code. It's very simple. Here, it's an H1 tag, and you'll see this little snippet. It's an I tag. This is a FontAwesome class. If you go on their FontAwesome's website, I'll just go on there real quick and I'll show you. You go on fontawesome.com, right? And then you click this little search bar, and then you can search for an icon. For example, say home. Now you have the little house here. If you click on this, you'll see the snippet of code here that you can use to make this icon appear on your web page. You click on it, it copies it to your clipboard, and then you can come in here and just paste it. That's it. Okay. Let's save this. We're going to do the same thing with the dashboard page. That should be in the dashboard folder. And if you want the dashboard component HTML, open that up, close that, delete everything that's in it. And I'm going to paste the dashboard code that I already have. This uses a different icon, also from FontAwesome. Our login page will have a Bootstrap card with a single login button. When clicked, it calls the login method in our component. So let's pull up our login page. We haven't built yet. Open up the HTML page and the TypeScript page. So we only have the login HTML and the login TypeScript file. So let's start with the login HTML. Just Control A, and I'm just going to paste pre-built page. It's very simple. This right here, this class card comes from Bootstrap. It's a Bootstrap card. It has a title, which is in an H3 tag called login, and it has a button with an Angular click event of login, which we're going to add now. So we're going to save this. Now we're going to go to the login TypeScript file, and we're going to add a login method in here. I'm going to press Shift Alt F auto format. I'm going to save it. And you'll see that it's giving me an error. It's giving me an error because I need to implement the auth service. I'm sorry, I need to inject the auth service, but we haven't implemented it yet. I'm going to just add the constructor here. Oh, look, the AI for Copilot tells us exactly what we need to add. When you see this, if you just press tab, it automatically adds it. So I'm going to add a carriage return here, separate these. And now we have the infamous squiggly lines, but if you put your mouse over the component or the service, you press Control period, you get the quick fix, but it doesn't know how to fix it because we did not add an auth service. So let's close this. I'm going to save the login component. I'm going to press Control tilde to pull this up. And we're going to do ng, G for generate service again, or you could just do S. And this I'm going to put in the services folder. So we're typing in services slash. I'm going to call this auth. And now if we go into our folder structure, we should now have a services folder with an auth service in it. So this is our plain vanilla auth service, which we need to inject into the login component. So let's go into the login component. Now, if I click on auth service here and I press Control period, it's going to know of the service. So it's going to import it. And now the squigglies go away. We're still getting squigglies here because we haven't added this variable yet. We're also getting squigglies in the login function because we haven't implemented that method yet. So let's go ahead and let's do that. Go into the auth service. You can leave the constructor there or you can remove it. Doesn't really matter. but I'm going to just paste in code here. This code, what it has is it has a variable. If you don't declare this as private, by default public variable of the auth service, so you can do auth.isLoggedIn anywhere we inject the auth service. And we have two methods. We have login and we have logout. So login, all it's doing, it's setting the isLoggedIn to true. By default, it's false. So when you launch the application, the app's going to think you're not logged in. Then the logout is going to just set the isLoggedIn to false. Save that. And that's the other thing. Inside of this login method here, within the login component, we're also using the router to navigate to the dashboard after a successful login. So you click on the router and you can press Control period. You could import the Angular router that's required for this to work. To run the application, now what you can do to run the app, you're going to press Control Tilde. Oh, we already have it running. So I'm going to actually delete this PowerShell. So in the app component HTML, it's saying that the auth.logout does not exist. That's because we didn't inject the service in there. So let's go to the app. This is the page with the error, but we have to actually go to the app component. And the app component, we have to add a constructor. And then in here, we have to add a private auth variable. You notice if I press tab from IntelliSense, it automatically imports our auth service. I'm going to save. So now let's go to the press Control Tilde to pull up the terminal. Let's press Control C to terminate the application. Yes, and then just do an npm start again. And then there's still an error in the app component. It can't find auth service. Why is that? So I'm going to hide the terminal. When we're looking at the app component.ts file, the TypeScript file, the reason why the app HTML still can't use the auth.logout, this squiggly line here, auth.logout function is still not recognized, is because when we inject this auth service, we have it marked as private. We have to set this to public, then save. And now no squiggly line here, which is great. Press Control Tilde to open up the terminal. And now you can see it's giving me a functional URL. If you hold Control and you click on it, it'll open up the web browser, your default web browser. In my case, it's Chrome. And now you can see we're landed on the home page. So you can see here, these are the two menus that I have set up, but it looks like they're not working because my mouse isn't the cursor. So I think I'm still getting errors. So it looks like it can't detect the ngIf. That's probably because we need to import the common module. So the ngIf, that's an Angular directive that's built into Angular that lets you control, like it basically lets you toggle the visibility of elements. So I'm going to press Control Tilde twice to hide the terminal. Now we're going to go to, I believe this is in the app component that we're using ngIf. You could actually see here the error. ngIf has, the ngIf directive actually has these little squiggly lines. In order to use this, we have to go into app component. And in this import section of this component, you put a comma, and we're going to add the common module. The common module in Angular is a basic building block that gives your components access to essential features like ngIf and ngFor, so you can show, hide, and loop through things in your templates. So let's go ahead and save this. Close it, and we're going to go close this as well. We're going to go back to the Control Tilde, and it looks like it rebuilt. I don't see any errors here. So if I go back into the web page, it looks like the page refreshed and there's no errors in the developer tools. So that's good. So now I should be able to click on, I still can't do it for some reason. Why isn't this working? Let's go find out why. Let's go back into the code. Press Control Tilde twice to hide it. And let's go look. So we have a router link, and that looks correct. But if we go to the app component, we can see that we're missing the router module. And that's required in order for the menu to work. The router link won't work without that. So if we go back into the page, we can see that now the home and the dashboard work properly. And you could tell by the mouse cursor. Awesome. Let's open up the Auth Guard and implement the authorization logic. So what we want to do here is add some code to recognize the auth service is logged in variable. When it's true, then and the user is logged in, then we want to return true. So the Auth Guard activates the route that it's protecting. So the route we're going to be protecting is dashboard. So let's just add some code in here. Because this is an export const, this is not a class. We can't, and there's no constructor. So to inject services, you have to use this inject function that's built into the Angular core. We're going to inject the auth service and we're injecting the router, and you'll see why below. But this is how you do it if you look at line 6 and 7. we're going to be checking it in the auth service. Is logged in true? If it is, return true and allow the route to activate. In other words, allow the user to access the dashboard page, because that's the one we're going to be guarding. Otherwise, navigate the user to the login page, because they have to log in before they could access the dashboard, and then return false to tell Angular router that it should not activate the dashboard. Save it. Make sure if when you add this code that you add the correct imports here using control period. And now I believe the application is running. It retranspiled. Let's go into the site. And if I go home, you can see the home page, because the home page is not guarded. The dashboard page is guarded using our Auth Guard. And because only authenticated users could access dashboard, it takes you to the login page automatically. Now, if I hit login, it's going to tell us an alert that the login is successful. If you click OK, it then shows you the dashboard page. And now you'll also see here that at the top, the logout menu appears. If you remember, we're using the ngIf directive to control whether or not this appears. Because now the auth is logged in, is set to true, now the logout appears. So now you go home or you go to the dashboard as much as you want. Once you click logout, it tells you logged out. The logout menu disappears. And now if you try to access the dashboard again, you can't until you log in. And that's it. I hope this helped you guys understand how guards work. If you found this useful, don't forget to like the video and subscribe for more tutorials. My name is Nuno. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.